What's up, math scholars and math haters? This is Mr. W. Today we're going to tackle question 7 in the 6th grade math questions that North Carolina released this past school year. We can see that this table represents the number of runs scored by several baseball teams during a season, and we have different cities. You might recognize some of the team names. And then we have the total runs that each team scored. And we're wondering which box plot correctly represents the data from the table. Now, box plots are these monstrosities. And yes, this question does take up almost two entire pages of the document that North Carolina released. All right, I want to point out something before we get to actually making this. If we look at our dots here on the lower end of the number line and here on the upper end of the number line, they are in the same places. Those places are 129 and 221. So even if you don't see, or even if you don't know what to do with box plots, you can look for your lowest and highest dots in order to see to see what's going on, and maybe if there's an answer choice or two that you can eliminate. All right, so right now, I'm going to go ahead and get out my big whiteboard, and we will use this to make this box plot. So I've got my big board out, and I have written out all of the data points without the cities, because we don't really need those. And thankfully, they put it in reverse order for us, but I still wrote it from lowest to highest, because that's what we're going to be looking for. And a box plot is made up of 5 numbers, and I'll talk about how we get each of these numbers by starting with the lowest and the highest. When I see lowest or highest, they are exactly what they sound like. For my lowest number, I'm just going to look for my lowest number, 129. For my highest number, same idea. I look for my highest data point, 221. These 3 are the challenge. And I'll start with median. Median is probably going to be most familiar because you'll have probably seen median before. Median is the idea that it's the exact middle of your data. So I'm going to count up my data points here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that means I'm going to cut my data in half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I cut my data in half right here. And if these two numbers are different, I'm going to have to average them together. Since they're not, I'm going to say that 150 is my median. And I will go ahead and erase this because I don't really need this part. Alright, so now, to find lower quartile and upper quartile, I essentially have to look at the smaller half and the bigger half of this data and find their middles. So for the lower quartile, the small half of the data, I'm going to look for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 data points, and this time, I can't exactly cut it in half. I just have to treat this 142 as my lower quartile. Lower quartile is 142. And now for my upper quartile, same idea. I look at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 data points up here. 175 would be the exact middle of this. That's my upper quartile. And so now I'm going to end up drawing my box plot. And I'm going to do this very crudely because we can compare this with our answer choices. But the idea is that my box is going to go in the middle here. It's going to cover this range of data. And then I draw a line in my median at 150. I draw a line out here to my lowest value. I draw a line up here to my biggest value. And so now essentially what we have is I've split my data into 4 sections. And what this tells me is that I've got a whole lot of data right in here, and then the rest of it is kind of spread out, sort of a little less than evenly because I didn't draw it right, but over this block, and this block, each of which represent about 1/4 of my data, I've gone ahead and I can see what's going on there. Thankfully, we don't have to do that in this question. All we have to do is see which of our answer choices has our lowest value at 129, our lower quartile at 142, median at 150, upper quartile at 175, and the highest value at 221. So I look at choice A. This dot looks like it's at about 129. This one's about at 142. This one's about at 150. This one's about at 175. And this one's about at 221. So I'm going to keep that in mind. I'll go ahead, and I don't have my little transparency here, so I can't write on this with the marker, but I would put a little dot next to A because that looks right. And now for B, 129, good. 142, good. 150, good. This one's at about 190 something. That's not what we want, so choice B is out. Now I bring in C, 129, good. This is at like 130 something. That's way too low for our lower quartile, so C is out. For choice D, our lowest value, 129, that's, whoops, let me move that up. Lowest value, 129, that's fine. Lower quartile is at it looks like it's about 140, but we'll see. Oh, but then our median's at 160. That's way too high for our median. We got 150. So B's done, C's done, D is done, leaving A as our only reasonable option left. And I'll go ahead and put that right there, because the box plot represented by choice A is the best one that matches the data that the problem gave us.